Hi, I wanted to cover the plant disease research assignment and just the instructions for it. So, the learning intention, we're learning to use the best practices for growing and maintaining the health of plants so we can maximize production of plant products. Again, we're trying to be able to identify disease and figure out how to combat it. Success criteria, I'll be successful when I can research biological information about different plant diseases common to Kansas, and I can describe what effect the disease has on plants to cause harm. Plant diseases can kill plants or damage products the plants create, such as flowers or fruit. Some of them are caused by fungus, some are spread by insects, and some infect plants in other ways. You'll be researching some common plant diseases of Kansas. Choose any 3 diseases from this list. And again, you've got a list of a bunch of different conditions here. You'll notice there's no scientific names here, mostly because some of these conditions aren't necessarily tied to an organism. It really depends on what we're looking at. So for each disease you pick, fill out the information on the chart below. Answer the reflection questions that follow. So let's go ahead and pull one example here. Let's pull Dutch elm disease. I'm going to copy that and paste it in here for a search. So let's look for what information we're trying to find. The name of the disease, which again, the name that's listed in the list that you select from is fine. I want a picture of what the disease looks like on the plant. Chances are, whenever you look at the images for that particular ailment, you should be able to find something. Again, look around at the pictures on here because sometimes they'll show a thing with the entire plant. Really, in the case of this particular infection, I would go with these pictures where it shows these striations in the bark where it has infected the tree. So, what causes the disease to happen in a plant? Is it a deficiency, a fungus, a nematode, or a virus? When you look at the general search information, you should be able to find some pretty good resources. So, for example, chances are you'll get some sort of website like this where it's related to some sort of department of horticulture. And it'll give you some details. So, for example, here on Dutch elm disease, it says it's a lethal fungal disease of native North American elms. So, what causes the disease to happen? It's a fungus. So, that's what I would list for that one. What types of plants does the disease damage? Again, look at the information. Sometimes it may be obvious because the name might specifically indicate a certain type of plant. But again, try to do as much research as possible to link up which plants the particular disease damages. How does the disease damage those plants? Again, any information page on it should give you some details about the types of damage that it causes to the plant. Basically, I want to know, if it's killing the plant, how is it doing so? Like, how is it affecting the plant? How is it preventing it from surviving? What is one method to control this disease? So again, look up a method to try and get rid of that particular disease. And again, what type of integrated pest management is that control method? Non-chemical, biological, or chemical? And again, I included a link to that slideshow, but just as a quick refresher, when we talk about non-chemical controls, again, this would be things like hand pulling out, a certain weed, or pruning parts that are diseased. That is something that comes up sometimes whenever we're talking about plant diseases. Biological controls would involve using something natural. So again, in the cases of plant diseases, I don't think there are a ton of examples like this, but maybe if it's a naturally derived oil that could be used to try and combat a particular plant disease, that might be a good example of a biological control. And then chemical controls tend to be sprays that are manufactured. Again, they're, from a lab in terms of their origin, and it's something to try and kill off whatever's causing the infection. So again, for example, a fungicide would be something that would kill off fungus. We've talked about that before when we were talking about making cuttings on plants that you need a fungicide. So that would be an example of a type of chemical control. So after you completely fill out the chart, you've got 2 reflection questions. What do you notice that all the example diseases have in common? And what do you notice that is different between all the example diseases? Again, they may be fairly different from each other depending on which ones you pick, but I imagine you can still find some common threads between them as well as some things that are different between them. So I hope that this ends up being a helpful assignment. I mostly want to make sure that when we're looking at our own garden or when you're looking at your own garden at home, you're able to kind of determine, okay, is this plant sick and what could I do to try and help it?